The first time the alien empress watched her human husband bleed, she realized the treaty had never been the real reason he was chosen. The blood wasn't red. It was darker, thicker, almost metallic as it splashed across the marble floor of the Sky Vault Palace, steaming faintly in the cold, sterile air. The Empress of the Karzai Dominion stood frozen, six-jeweled eyes wide, ceremonial claws trembling inside silk sleeves woven from starlight. Humans were not supposed to bleed like that. And yet Elias Rourke, Earth's diplomatic offering, her political husband, the fragile symbol of peace, was on one knee breathing hard, smiling through pain as if it meant nothing. That was the moment everything began to unravel. They told her the human was weak. That was how the Council sold it. A soft species from a dying world. A civilization fractured by war, pollution, and internal collapse. Earth had begged for protection when Karzai fleets arrived at the edge of their system, blotting out stars like judgment made of steel. The price of survival was symbolic submission. A marriage. One human. One empress. A bond to seal peace between predator and prey. She expected fear when Elias Rourke was brought before her for the first time, chains glowing with suppression fields, shoulders bare, eyes lifted in quiet defiance. Instead she saw grief. Control. The kind that didn't scream, didn't beg, but burned quietly behind the eyes. It unsettled her more than terror ever could. And that was only the beginning. Elias bowed when protocol demanded it. He learned alien customs faster than most diplomats learned their own laws. He spoke when spoken to. Ate what was placed before him. Never complained about gravity shifts, neural translators, or the invasive scans that probed his body nightly. The Council approved. See, they told her. Docile. Adaptable. Harmless. But in private moments, when the palace lights dimmed and the stars drifted past the transparent walls of her chambers, she noticed things. How he never slept deeply. How his eyes tracked exits automatically. How his pulse slowed, not raced, when guards entered unannounced. She told herself it was nothing. She told herself this was what peace looked like. She was wrong. The first attempt on her life came without warning. A fracture charge detonated beneath the council dais during a ceremonial address, ripping through crystal and anti-grav fields alike. Alarms screamed. Courtiers scattered. Guards froze in confusion, unsure who the enemy was. She felt the blast before she heard it, and then she felt hands around her. Strong. Unyielding. Elias slammed into her, turning his back to the explosion as the shockwave tore across the chamber. The impact should have shattered his spine. Instead he absorbed it, armor beneath flesh flaring faintly blue for a heartbeat before vanishing. They crashed behind a fallen pillar. Dust rained down like ash. She stared at him, stunned. "You're hurt," she said. He checked her first. Only then did he look at the blood soaking his sleeve. "It's fine," he said calmly. Internal dampeners held. That sentence changed everything. The council dismissed her questions. Emergency implants, they said. Survival adaptations. Nothing unusual. But the palace physicians avoided her gaze. Security protocols around Elias doubled overnight. Entire sections of his medical records were erased. Secrets began to pile up like bodies in a war she hadn't realized she was fighting. So she did the unthinkable. She ordered a private scan. What she saw made her claws dig into the armrest of her throne. His skeleton wasn't entirely human. Lattice-reinforced bones. Microreactive fibers woven through muscle. Neural acceleration pathways branching like artificial veins inside his brain. And deeper still, something else. Dormant. Waiting. None of us were prepared for the truth. When confronted, Elias didn't deny it. He didn't apologize either. "They told you I was a symbol," he said quietly, standing in her chambers beneath drifting constellations. That part was true. Her voice trembled. "What were you really built for?" He hesitated. That hesitation scared her more than any weapon. "Earth knew they couldn't win a war against you," he finally said. "So they made sure they couldn't lose one either." Her breath caught. "They turned you into a weapon," she whispered. "No," he corrected softly. "They turned me into an answer." And that was only the beginning. The mid-story truth came when the assassins stopped hiding. Karzai extremists, furious at the idea of an alien ruling beside a lesser being, launched a coordinated coup across the station. Gravity failed. Defense grids shut down. Council members were slaughtered in corridors meant for ceremony, not bloodshed. She ran. So did Elias. But when cornered, when plasma fire sealed every escape, he stopped. "Stay behind me," he said. The core in his chest ignited. The palace shook as Elias Rourke unfolded into something else entirely. Strength multiplied. Movements blurred. Time itself seemed to slow around him as he tore through armored soldiers like they were made of paper and regret. Blades shattered. Energy weapons bent. His voice, calm, controlled, issued commands her guards obeyed without realizing why. He wasn't fighting. He was executing. This was not what she expected. When it was over, the station lay silent. Thousands were alive because of him. Thousands were dead because of what he had been made into. She found him alone in a ruined observation hall, staring at Earth's distant sun through fractured glass. "I was supposed to die if I ever activated fully," he said. "Failsafe. Proof of good faith." She said nothing. "They removed it before I left," he continued. "Didn't tell me until after." "Why?" she asked. "Because Earth doesn't trust peace," he said. "They trust deterrence." The weight of that truth pressed down on her like gravity reborn. Human emotion versus alien logic. And she didn't know which terrified her more. The final choice was hers. The surviving council demanded his execution. Proof that Karzai dominance remained absolute. Proof that peace had limits. Earth transmitted a single message: asset compromised. Containment optional. Elias stood before her throne, hands open, unarmed. "I didn't choose this," he said. "But I'll accept whatever you decide." She looked at him, at the man who laughed softly at her jokes, who learned her language without a translator, who carried the weight of two worlds and never asked to be forgiven. Then she stood. "The treaty stands," she declared. "And so does my husband." Gasps echoed. "This human was not built to destroy us," she continued. "He was built to remind us why fear exists in the first place." Silence followed. Then understanding. The galaxy changed after that. Not because of fleets or weapons, but because everyone learned what humanity had been willing to do to survive. And what one human had been willing to become so that no one else would have to. Years later, when historians asked the Empress why she chose peace over fear, she answered simply, "Because I saw what he was built for, and he chose love instead." And somewhere between the stars, humanity finally earned its place, not as prey, not as conqueror, but as something far more dangerous. A people who would bleed, break, and become monsters, so no one else had to.